it is time to talk about the false copyright strikes against DSP Gaming. Oh, fuck this motherfucker. Let's do it. Let's blow a hole in this mother and let's talk about what's going on. Because I've had enough of people breaking the fucking law to try to take me down. How about this? Fuck off. Get a fucking life. Okay. So, a little amped up today about this bullshit. Okay? So here's what happened. Last year, in the fall, I decided to start doing a morning podcast rather than just gabbing over this. Hi, how you guys doing? You enjoying staring at these screens? We did it for about 7 years, so I hope you really liked it. I finally listened to your feedback, and I decided to start doing a podcast every morning where I'd be on camera, I'd talk about various topics, and we'd have interesting discussion, Q&A. Great, right? And this has been a great show to do. This actually has gotten me a new audience of people who come just to watch this podcast and maybe every once in a while watch my gaming content, while others just found it as a natural, organic way to get into my content every morning, okay? Pretty cool. Well, when I started doing this podcast, I decided that I wanted to make it a little bit fancy. Now, I don't have any expertise in video editing. I don't have any video editing software, all right? So even if I wanted to, I wouldn't be able to do an intro or an outro or anything like that for this show, okay? So at one point, I kind of appealed to everyone out there, and I said, if anyone wants to submit any content for the podcast, I'm open. And it was funny because I got a bunch of people who submitted different kinds of content for the show all at once. And there was one particular person who said that they actually wanted to work with me directly in order to make content. They claimed that they were actually someone who worked in like a video editing, like this was their job. And they wanted to take that into the realm of donating some stuff so that I could use it for my podcasts because they liked me and my content and they wanted to see their stuff featured and it made them feel good to see their content on a stream, but also they wanted to help out. So, no exaggeration, I talked with this person back and forth for weeks, all right? Talking about content, talking about what we could do in an intro or an outro, what kind of stuff. They basically had some ideas, and initially I didn't like some of the ideas, and we kind of went back and forth a little bit about it, about what it could be. And initially, way back when in January, yes, that's how far back this issue goes, okay? In January, they decided that they were going to start making like intros, and they gave me their first idea. Now, at that point, I just wanted something to throw on the podcast. I didn't really care about the quality. I was like, just anything would be funny at this point, just to have something. So this person had footage of like Japanese arcades, but it wasn't only just like video arcades, but there was like those freaking, pachinko games and shit like that, stuff like that. And a few other things interjected in there, like there was some gameplay of Street Fighter and stuff like that. All right? So, I put the intro on the show, and people are like, oh, that's a troll intro. And I'm like, well, why? And they're like, well, did you notice that some of those machines are gotcha machines, which are the machines where I guess you put money in, you get a randomized item out of it or whatever? And I was like, I'll be honest with you, no, I didn't even really notice that that's what it was, because it was a variety of stuff. There was those machines, there was pachinko machines, there was Street Fighter, there was a bunch of stuff in the intro. And, you look at it and you're like, even if it could have been like tongue-in-cheek trolling, it's not outright trolling. It's not outright nasty, negative stuff. Yeah, sure, it might be in line with some stupid snickering detractor memes, but who gives a fuck, right? I don't care. I haven't been rolling with the memes for how many years, right? Oh, absolutely, we can't ever talk about that. I never ever bring that up on my stream, right? Like, whatever. So I just thought it was funny. Okay? Now, I should make this abundantly clear, all right? Before I put a single piece of content on my streams, I got outright written permission from this person to use this content in my streams. I have it. I archived it. Every piece of correspondence I ever have with this person, actually reaching months before they ever even gave me an intro for the show, I have archived. I'm not stupid. I dot my I's. I cross my T's. I do everything to protect myself these days because I've been here, done that. I've been down this road before. Okay? Many years ago in 2015, the one instance that really destroyed DSP Gaming as a business was when I was too trusting, and for many, many months, I accepted tons of fan art as well as intros and shit for my streams. And what happened was a concerted group of trolls who worked together for months to set this up, acted like my friends, acted like stream regulars, and then all of a sudden hit me with an insane amount of false copyright strikes in a short amount of time. Okay? That time I had no idea what to do. I was panicking. Like, how do I clear this up? And I was partnered with Machinima back in 2015. Machinima contacted YouTube, all right? And YouTube essentially said the only way to protect yourself from this issue is to delete all of your content that ever used fan art or intros. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I've been doing this for a year. You expect me to delete a year's worth of videos? YouTube responded, yes. This is the only way to fully protect your channel. So I was like, wow, that's pretty fucked. So at that point, I spent an entire day not making content, but instead deleting content. When I deleted all that content, and this is, a different time. This was 7 years ago. When I used to do, pre-streams and stuff, you're talking about thousands of views. These videos would get thousands of views. Today they don't, but back then they did. So now imagine deleting a year's worth of content, each video getting thousands of views. By deleting those videos, all right, overnight, DSP Gaming lost tens of millions of views. When that happens on YouTube, when YouTube sees a YouTube channel delete a ton of videos and lose tens of millions of views, essentially what YouTube's algorithm does is says, we detect something wrong with that channel. If a channel is having that much change, it must mean that something bad has happened, and therefore what it does, it kicks you out of the YouTube algorithm. So in 2015, DSP Gaming went from one of the most recommended prominent gaming channels on YouTube to non-existent. And you can actually look at view history, and you can see that at a time period when normally in the fall, when my views would be going up, because in the fall I'd be hitting all the search engines and everyone would find my content as I covered the new games, my views actually went down. I lost views during the busiest time of the year for the first time ever in DSP Gaming's history. And in a lot of ways, that was kind of the beginning of all the financial problems that I've had since. Not to say that me overspending when I moved out here in 2014 wasn't one of the root causes. It was, but if I hadn't had such a sharp decline in interest on my channel and a sharp decline of income as a result of that trolling activity, I probably wouldn't be in any of the problems I'm in today financially. So, all those assholes that say things like, Phil's an e-beggar, and Phil does this and that. I only do it because you fucked me over. You're the reason why I lost all my income on YouTube and had to change my methods. So you caused the thing you don't like. You're your own source of misery. Go fuck yourself up the ass. Okay, so getting back to the present. This particular person, starting in January and over the course of February, all right, made me several both different intros and outros for my podcast. And again, I worked with this person. In fact, this person also did some intros for several streams. I was playing Pokemon at the time. They did a Pokemon intro. I was playing King of Fighters. They did a King of Fighter intro. The thing was, most of those were bumpers, meaning I would play them at the beginning of a stream, and that was it. They were never recorded. They were never, archived on YouTube. It was only a bumper for those special streams. So people would see them once or twice, and that was it. Okay? In fact, this was the person who made the Skyrim After Dark intro when I was doing my very lengthy playthrough of Skyrim. Okay? And it was weird because when they first made it, they put in actual licensed copyrighted music. And I said to them, how could I use this? Because it has this music in it, and this person assured me, oh, don't worry. I work for a video editing studio. This is my job. And we were told that this song is like royalty free. You can use this song in your intro and you'll be fine. You won't have any problems. So what happens? I play it on the stream. Now I didn't archive it. That's the thing. I never recorded those and put them as part of any of my content, like on-demand videos. It was only for the streams. Okay. So I put it, and what happens? Immediately it's claimed on YouTube. And I said, hey, what gives? You said that it was royalty free. Oh, I'm going to tell my boss that it's not, and basically we paid for this, and we got ripped off. Something like, So at this point, I basically definitely started to feel skeptical about what this person was doing, but I didn't have any outright evidence that this person was a troll or was a scumbag, okay? I just thought it was maybe someone who's a little eccentric with the way that they were talking and acting, and they were just really overly eager to get content seen on the internet, and I was their way to do that, and I felt happy that maybe I could see that their creative stuff could be shown on my stream. I was okay with that, So anyway, over the course of February, this person made a ton of stuff for me, okay? And then I would say it was probably late February, early March, all right? This guy, first of all, he says something such as, oh, my email got hacked by your trolls. Something weird like that. So, I have to totally redo. Don't worry, I'm okay. But they tried to contact my work and they tried to get me fired and this and that. And I'm like, wait a minute. Your email got hacked by my trolls. How? No one knows who you are, right? It's not like you're actively a part of my content. No one knows you're making this shit for me or who you are at all. Okay? No one knows your email address. No one knows where you work. You didn't even tell me where you work. You described it, but you didn't say where you work. So even if, you know what I'm saying? Like, none of this is adding up. This is definitely starting to not make any sense at all. Okay? It's just confusing as shit. Like, what he's saying, I'm like, right? Like, what are you talking about? So, at this point, this is probably about mid-February, I start definitely getting skeptical about the guy. And so, he's still making stuff. Some of the stuff I'm using, some of the stuff I'm not. Some of the stuff I'm pushing back. And I'm like, I remember once, he did this intro. And I don't remember what game it was for, but it was like slamming the CEO of YouTube. Like saying nasty things about her. I'm like, on what planet do you think I would use this in my content? Why would I slam the CEO of YouTube? Like, it sounds like you have personal gripes against her and you think it's funny, but why would I do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, this doesn't make any sense. So what are you talking about? Right? Like, why would I do this? It was just weird. And like I said, as he kind of made more and more content, it started getting more weird and eccentric and very odd. Okay? To the point where it wasn't even really making sense anymore, but I was like, it's kind of funny, so I'll still use some of it, but I didn't use all of it. Trust me, this guy was sending me a bunch of shit. And it was just randomized stuff at some points. The guy definitely seemed like his mind was all over the place and maybe he had some issues. I don't know. All right? But, again, I worked with this guy. Like, I have trails of emails saying, no, can you change this? Can you tweak this? Can you do this? Then we'll use it as a podcast intro and stuff like that. Okay? So finally, we're basically all this broke down. I hadn't heard from the guy in a little bit. I was still using his intros and outros, but I hadn't heard from him for a little bit. Okay? And then all of a sudden he came back out of nowhere and he's like, I got a new one for you. I got a new intro to use on your podcast. I was like, okay. Now, I'll be honest with you, I only used the intro once and I don't really remember exactly how. It was really long. I remember being like several minutes long. And I was kind of like, man, this is pretty long for it. But I'll give it a shot. I'll just try it once. I remember playing it and people thought that it was all right, but they're like, yeah, it's kind of long. Is there a way to narrow it down or whatever? All right. So later that day, I play back the intro and I'm watching it in detail because I'm trying to like, what could we cut out of this? What still makes sense, but what could we edit out and make shorter and things like that? So I'm watching the intro and I saw something. I saw a fucking Tevin. Yeah, he had superimposed Tevin in the background of the intro, looking out at me in the intro. All right? At first glance, you would never see it. It was actually hidden in the background. So you would never see it at all. You actually had to like watch this thing frame by frame in detail, which I was doing. I was like, what can we cut out or whatever? And then I saw it and I was like, oh, I get it now. This guy probably has hidden this shit in all of the intros. How much do you want to bet this guy, there's hidden shit in all of them that no one knows, but the guy's one of these eccentric losers. Because this has happened before. Years ago when I was on Twitch, people would make, oh, here's new art for your streams, and I'd use it. Oh, if you use a color filter over it, Kevin's face is on it. Who the fuck sits there on Twitch putting color filters over regular channels to see this, you fucking idiotic loser? Like, you're the only one who would possibly know that, right? But that's how these people are. They're crazy idiots. So, after discovering this, okay, I immediately stopped using all of this person's content, but it had been about a month that I'd been using their content on my podcasts, okay? So I contacted them. I wrote them an email, all right? And I was like, hey guy, or not hey guys, I was like, hey man, I don't know what your deal is, but now I've seen it. I know what you're doing. It's obvious that you were probably trying to do this all along. I'm not going to go back and look at all your shit at this point, but basically, like, this is pretty fucked up. Obviously you should look at yourself in the mirror and it's like, what am I doing with your life? You made a lot of intros that are really good and you have talent, but the fact that you squandered that talent to do troll shit, Like, imagine what you could do with your life if you actually put effort in instead of trying to troll people on the internet with this dumb shit. It's similar to other people. I've seen other people do amazing quality artwork that's like hideous versions of me. Why? No one cares. You're a loser. Go draw shit that you can make money with or make a career with or do something productive with your life. Don't sit here drawing ugly pictures of Darkside Phil on the internet. You're wasting your fucking life away. But that's how these fucking people are. They're out of their minds. So anyway, I don't hear back from the guy. It's been like 2 weeks. I hear nothing. Okay? So I write one more email to him. And I said, it would have been nice if you could have like been a man and fessed up to what you did, but it's obviously that you're a puss. It's messed up that you did this, and good riddance. I don't ever want to hear from you again. And that was the end of it. Well, now I pissed him off. So he responds, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm serious. I'm sitting there. The intro is there. You could see Tevin in it. There's no disputing this. I don't know what you're talking about. You're making this up. I don't know what your problem is, Phil. I think you're paranoid because you have so many trolls. But I'm incredibly insulted that you would say this about me. How dare you accuse me of something that I have not done? Okay? So at this point, this guy isn't just like, fuck off, I'm a troll, neener. He starts actually making demands. Yeah, he starts making demands. You better take down every podcast that you've done with my content in it. I want you to take down all of your Skyrim content. I want you to stop using the phrase Skyrim After Dark because, listen to this, because I trademarked it. I went to the trademark office and I trademarked Skyrim After Dark. What? Do you even know how the process to trademark something? To trademark something, the quickest you could do it is 6 to 8 months. You just made the Skyrim intros a month ago. How the fuck could you have trademarked it? Like, this guy is nuts. Like, literally now you realize this guy's a mess. His head is unscrewed. This guy's a nut job. Okay? So he's saying all this nonsense, or absolute fucking nonsense, and threatening me, outright threatening me with shit. I'm gonna do this and that. I want you to take down all your content. All right. So here's what I did. I wrote one final email, and I said, "Listen, you're nuts. You don't have any concept of how any of this works. You don't work for some editing company. You don't work for any trademark. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't file a trademark. You're a fucking nut job. I want nothing to do with you ever again. Here's what I'm going to do. I will not use your content anymore because I don't want to be a part of you. I don't even want you to be in my content because you're fucked up in the head. You're messed up. And that's all I'm going to do. You have no right to demand anything from me because I have outright written permission from you to use that stuff in my content. You don't get the right after the fact to then say you can't use it. That's not how copyright law works. In fact, it's the opposite. You gave permission, so anything I made up to that point, I could keep it. But now if you're saying I can't use it anymore, now you have the right to say stop, which I will do. But outside of that, you don't have a legal leg to stand on trying to demand that I take down tons of my videos and shit. You're out of your fucking mind. Okay? And that was where I left it. I marked his email as spam, so if he ever responded, I never saw it. It probably just went right to my spam folder because I get hundreds of spam emails a day, and by marking them as spam, I never have to deal with them ever again. That was the end of that shit. Okay? Okay. Now, fast forward to a couple of weeks ago. All right? Because here's what happened a couple of weeks ago. Okay? A couple of weeks ago, I was going to do my live react to This Is How You Don't Play Metal Gear Solid 2. Okay? And, hold on. Excuse me. This seemed to completely incense trolls on the internet. They got so upset with the fact that I was going to react to this that a bunch of them were trying to actually have a concerted effort to take me down. They tried to hit me with false community claims, saying that all my content wasn't friendly and I should be hitting with community guideline strikes and shit like that. They were trying to do every possible thing at once to try to take down DSP Gaming. All right? In fact, I'm absolutely sure that there was a group of people, like someone said, probably former Wings trolls, who were trying to get in line with my trolls and try to find people who would basically do illegal things to take down my channel. And I think what happened is they made the call, and this nut job who sat in the wing for months and months and months says, oh, by the way, I made all these intros and shit for Phil months and months ago. And probably they said to him, we'll break the law then. And the person was just as much of a scumbag to say, okay, I'll break the law. And what they did is they filed a series of false copyright claims against DSP Gaming for the intros and outros that were used on my podcasts, okay? Now, could they claim anything else? No. Why? Because as I had said, those had only been used on my live streams, which are not, archived or anything. Those live streams are gone once they're done and they're broadcast, you know what I mean? But it was the podcast where I archived those. Those are on demand. You can see those every day as on-demand videos that they could strike with copyright strikes. So he sat there and he literally picked out 3 or 4 different intros that he had used over the course of that month and a half, and he tried to hit me with a ridiculous amount. Now, here's where YouTube comes into play, and I will give YouTube some credit. As much as YouTube gets shit for its copyright system, it has improved over the years. YouTube will not just shut you down overnight for copyright strikes if they're all coming from one person, okay? What they do is they acknowledge the copyright strikes, but they're not going to say, we're just going to completely destroy your business because some idiot is hitting you with a ton of copyright claims. So, to put this in perspective, I received 10 claims against 10 separate videos, but YouTube only gave me 2 strikes, okay? That's good, because if they shut down my channel, now I have to clean this up, and it could take weeks, and now I can't make money because someone could be hitting me with fake strikes. You see what I'm saying? That's fucked up. Now, thank God YouTube doesn't do that anymore. They used to do that. No exaggeration. Every claim would be a strike. So this would have been 10 strikes. But YouTube stopped doing that a long time ago and groups them together now, thankfully. Okay? Also, YouTube has stopped shutting down your channel from making new content during the dispute process. This didn't used to be this way. It used to be if you get strikes, that's it. You can't broadcast, you can't upload, you can't do shit. But I was able to continue to broadcast and upload during the time when I was trying to clear up these false strikes. All right? So, the second I got them, I knew what they were. I said, I knew this was probably going to happen at some point. I was hoping for the best, but now I guess the only defense I have is to counter these strikes. And sadly, what I need to do, I need to go back in time through my podcasts where this guy had done intros and outros. I need to delete them. So I did. Any remaining podcasts that had the intros and outros, I deleted. And by the way, I should definitely emphasize this, okay? The guy probably hit me with more than that. I would guess he probably issued a copyright strike against every single time that I used his intro and outro, which would have been a month's worth of podcasts. And if that hit, then definitely the channel would have been shut down. But I think YouTube limits it. I think what YouTube does is they limit it to, say, 10. And then once you clear those up, right, then they have, okay, if there's more coming through from the same person, then get to the next batch. Because I guarantee you this guy hit me with all of them, yet only 10 applied at once, okay? So it does feel to me like YouTube has protections in place, okay? Now, something else that I want to emphasize, all right? I guarantee you that people try to hit me with false copyright strikes all the time. If you may have noticed, I don't really get affected by them that often, all right? And it's because I have a process in place that kind of covers my butt, all right? This was a situation where, how can I explain it? Basically, there's one particular situation, all right, where someone will likely get a copyright claim granted. Doesn't mean that the strike will stick or anything, but there is a situation where likely the claim will go through. However, in order not only to protect myself, but to protect my fellow YouTubers, I don't want to talk about that specific situation because it's, first of all, it's only a hypothesis. I don't have 100% confirmed evidence that it's true, but also, if I were to talk about this publicly, literally YouTube channels could be shut down overnight by people abusing this loophole in YouTube system. I think it's fucked up that it's there, but I think people have been using this for a long time to shut down YouTubers who they don't like. And I think that it's messed up that this exists, all right? And I think that there should be protections from it. But sadly, I don't think there are. I actually think this may be a loophole that people have used to shut down my own detractors. Because as you know, people have been impersonating me for years, all right, on YouTube, and claiming they're me and hitting them with false strikes. And it's weird because you're like, I don't understand why they keep getting taken down, but others don't. Because I think there's a specific situation that can be abused that the strike will always stick. And that was the situation that I was facing this time around, but not other times. And that's why usually I don't get these false strikes against the channel. But again, unless YouTube is willing to reach out and talk with me or others about this and figure out how to close up their bullshit loophole, I don't want to talk about it because this could potentially lead to tons of people getting their shit shut down. I think it's fucked up that this is how it works. I really do. I don't understand how they can operate a business like this. You see what I'm saying? So anyway, I'm not going to talk in detail about that. However, what I would like to do is talk about this process that I went through to get these strikes cleared up, because it actually resulted in some of the most hilarious shit I've ever read in my entire life. Are you ready for this? You are going to get so many laughs out of this, okay? Let me actually get it open here. I really can't believe this, okay? So, when you get hit with copyright strikes on YouTube, okay, you get an email saying you got hit, and then what happens is, when you log into your YouTube channel and you go to the studio page, which is where you look at all your videos and all the content and all that shit, all right, it basically gives you a bunch of information. If you got hit with a strike, what happens is you get a big pop-up on that screen outlining the strikes you've received and all the information about them, all right? You actually have to review that information and either say, I accept that these hit, or I'd like to take action against them, like dispute the claim or contact the claimant and stuff like that, all right? So when this screen popped up for me, it outright showed, all right, all of the information of the person claiming. Not all the information, but it showed the name of the person claiming. It showed the videos that were claimed. It showed the content they were claiming in the videos, okay? Now, here's the weird part about this, okay? YouTube does not show you the actual content of the claim itself. Meaning, if this person wrote YouTube and said, I'm claiming this content because of this reason, and therefore I want it, I want a copyright strike, I don't get to see that. All right, they keep that part of it private. Okay, I don't know why, but they usually keep that private, or do they? Because, ladies and gentlemen, oops, that was not what I wanted to click. That was an E3 hype train, E3 2019 hype train. Anyway. In this case, all right, when I was reviewing the information of the false claims against the channel, I found something interesting. If I hovered over a certain portion of the screen, all of a sudden a pop-up message would appear that actually displayed the claim that the person had issued against me in detail. I didn't know this existed. I don't think anyone does. Usually when you get false claims, all you get is, here's what's claimed, here's the video that's down because of it, here's your options. In this case, it actually showed me the content of the claim, which I don't get it, because you're not supposed to see it, but it was there. So I archived this for you guys, because I think you're going to get an absolute laugh out of this. There were 5 different screen grabs I did, because there were 5 different messages that this crazy person wrote to YouTube. Message number 1. You get through these. Here's the first message. I'll read it word for word. Phil DSP Gaming wanted intros for his content. Originally I gave permission, but recent evidence came to light on how he scams viewers into tipping to feed his gambling addictions. Oh, wait. I have an initial reaction to that one. What a fucking idiot. So he literally writes this to YouTube and says, I want to claim content that I did give Phil permission to use. He outright says in the message, I gave him permission to use this, right? But I still want to issue him with a false copyright claim because I feel he's using money to gamble. That's what he's saying. The fuck? What? Where does this come into play in DMCA law exactly? You profound moron. Like, really? So let's continue, because that's only the first one. Message number 2. I asked him nicely, nicely meaning I demand you take down not only all of your podcasts, but all of your Skyrim content and everything, because, you know, I asked you nicely. Yeah, okay. To remove my videos on his channel. Please remove my videos from your videos because you haven't apologized. I'm rescinding my permission to use my work, my email to him. That is not his email. Not at all. Not even close. But but by the way, because he put that in quotes, it must be true. I mean, he put it in quotation marks. It's got to be real. I mean, come on. Okay? That's only number 2. I'm not done. You ready? There's more. As if this isn't good enough, there's way more. You ready? Here's number 3. Again, I'm not supposed to see any of this, but apparently it was visible to me. I can provide all original files, including the raw editing files of my intro and outro videos made in good faith, but I asked him to remove them because of DSP's actions towards his fans. Again, this guy, just reading that, it's not even a coherent thought. I own all the original files, therefore it's my content, but must be removed because of his actions towards fans. What? Like, it's obviously this guy, you know, his brain is jumbled. It's not even like a string of thought that makes sense. It's like 5 thoughts slammed together into one, right? Let's continue on. The next one, because there's more. Oh, wait, I didn't open it. Or did I? Hold on. Oh, never mind. This is actually, it looks like it's the same one. It's not. I asked nicely to remove my content. I did not want him to use my work for his content anymore. He had lied to fans. I didn't want to help him with his scamming plans. Now, one other thing that we should bring up here, okay? Because we absolutely got to bring this one up. Because this is how hilarious this all is. So what this guy is saying is, oh, I've been told that he's scamming his fans for money, and that's why I want my content out of his. Except all that happened last month, right? Wasn't it last month? Oh, the big expose on Phil, and there's a documentary slamming Phil, and there's this and that, which, by the way, it's all bullshit. It's all made up. It's all hearsay. It's all fucking conspiracy theory nonsense. None of it is factual, right? But that was last month. This guy gave me the content in February and wrote me in February with these demanding, very, very, very aggressive emails demanding I take my content down. That was February. It's now August, September. They're not even the same event. He's saying the reason he did it was because, I now found out Phil's a scammer and shit. That's not even the correct, you can't even say that. He's literally lying through his teeth, right? Not that it matters, and I'll explain in a moment because there's one more to do. I'll explain in a moment why none of this matters, okay? Here's the last one. DSP Gaming had lied and broke terms of service. Okay, now here's another one. I've broken the terms of service asking for tips that fuel his gambling. Oh, I've broken the terms of service now. Oh, that's why I've been on this website for 14 fucking years, huh? Because I'm breaking the terms of service. You guys are nut job, okay? I asked him nicely to remove my videos on his channel again, false, and I was uncomfortable with him. Maybe you're uncomfortable because you put Tevin's face in an intro and I called you out on it and you completely became a pussy. You know? That's what happens when you get caught out doing something wrong. You become an incredible puss. He still has not done so and he profits off of my work. No, I do not. I don't profit off of anything you've ever done. The intros never create any profit for me. You're an idiot. Okay. Now, here's the most hilarious part about all of this. All right? YouTube gets all of these claims, and here's how YouTube reacts when they read them. Because YouTube doesn't give a fuck. All right? YouTube is an automated site. It doesn't care that you think that you don't like Phil or he's a scammer, he's broken terms of service. You could say Phil was a mass murderer, they wouldn't care. You could say Phil was the devil himself, come up from hell to stick red hot pokers up the asses of everyone on YouTube, and YouTube still wouldn't care. Okay? What YouTube does is they look at the situation and they try to figure out if it could possibly be a real copyright claim or not. Again, this was a unique situation, all right? Very unique situation where they could have possibly granted it. They didn't know. There's no way for them to know whether or not this is real or not. There's also no way to know if I was ever really granted permission to use the content or not. I can't fault YouTube, but what I will say about YouTube is I wish they wouldn't grant the claim and the strike and then leave it upon the content creator to clean it up. That's not right, all right? What should happen is when this happens, YouTube should contact the creator and say, hey, we have now received a claim, all right? And what we need to do is vet it, make sure if it's real or not. Do you have permission to use the content this person is claiming? In which I would say, yeah, here you go. Here's literally every piece of correspondence I ever had with this guy through email. I could show you the entire email trail. I've archived it, and it's you know, probably dozens and dozens of emails over months of time. Here's every time where he gave me permission to do it. Here's him trying to threaten me and demand that I take all of my content down, right? Like all of it. So basically, I would have shown them that, and immediately they would have said, okay, guess what? It's fake, and they would have never granted it. But instead, here's YouTube's situation. We're too big to care about you. Yeah, that's their. We're too big of a site to review every claim. Here's how I respond to that. I don't care. What's right is right, and what's legal is legal. The moment that YouTube grants a false DMCA takedown, YouTube itself has violated DMCA law. You have taken down a piece of creative content protected under copyright without vetting the claim. And if you do that, you yourself have broken DMCA law. I would go as far to say that YouTube is likely the biggest offender on the internet of DMCA law on a daily basis by granting false claims. They shouldn't get away with this. And if someone sued them in a class action lawsuit saying your system's broken, you can't make us guilty until proven innocent, they would lose. All right? But no one's done that. Why? Because YouTube is where so many people have to make their content. YouTube is the medium, all right, by which basically you distribute your content. Why are you going to sue them for having an improper tool that blames you for something you didn't do when you need that venue to keep making your content and make a living? So no one's going to sue them for it, all right? Now, all this being said, okay, it's annoying because now, is there any real way for me to clear this up quickly? No, there's not. I have to issue copyright counterclaims, excuse me. They're called counterclaims. And all you do is you type up a message saying, this is nonsense, I have permission to use it, get this out of here. And then within 2 weeks, unless YouTube has evidence that the person who gave you those false copyright strikes is trying to sue you, meaning they literally go to YouTube and say, here's the name of my lawyer, here's the lawsuit. Without that, YouTube will remove the claim. And this, I learned this the hard way many years ago. Because many years ago when I was on YouTube and the first people were starting to steal my content, I will admit to you all publicly, a couple of times I attempted to take down people who straight re-uploaded my content. I'm not talking about this is how you don't play. People did creative stuff with it. I'm talking about essentially people who were ripping my videos right off my channel and re-uploading to their own, all right? I tried to take down a few of those, all right, with the copyright system. And what happened was the videos initially were removed, those people would counterclaim them, and they would go back up within 2 weeks. And YouTube's methodology there is that unless you're going to sue, we will not interject and take any content off of YouTube whatsoever, period. So unless I get a lawsuit, I can never take anything permanently off of YouTube. Which is why it's hilarious when people say to me things like, why don't you try to take down all of these haters? Why don't you try to take down your detractors, the restreamers, and all of that? It's all temporary. There's no way you can ever get any of that to stick unless you have a legal intention of suing. Now, I have no legal intention of suing, so technically every claim that I would issue on YouTube is essentially a false claim. I have no intention of going through with the legal action, and therefore I would be abusing DMCA law if I were issuing fake takedowns. You see? So, that being said, the whole process is broken, all right? And you may say, Phil, why don't you get hit with false copyright strikes all the time? Okay? It's simple, because I know the process and I do absolutely everything I can to protect myself. I have a methodology to the way that I upload content and archive content that actually protects me from 99% of false strikes. Okay? But it's not foolproof because YouTube is automated. YouTube doesn't review the situation. This was a case where it was a specific situation that I don't want to talk about in detail because if I do, other people could use it to abuse the system and not just hurt me, but others. Other YouTubers could be completely taken down by this situation. So I'm not going to talk about that in detail. But yeah, this is a bad situation. Why does YouTube grant these claims without properly vetting them? It just doesn't make sense. All you need to do is vet it. Because the thing is, they do vet claims. They just don't vet it all the time because there's certain situations where there's a loophole. You see? So anyway, so that's what happened. I was hit with all these false claims from a jackass nut job, and you know, what could I do? I had to counterclaim them. Luckily, YouTube did, thank God, actually pay attention to my counterclaims, and they did actually grant the claims within 2 weeks. Now, here's the thing. It was an extra day. Why? Monday was Labor Day, which is a national holiday in the U.S., so they didn't consider that a business day, which is why they should have actually been removed on Wednesday, but didn't technically get removed till Thursday. So that's why it took an extra day. But yes, because, you know, I did the claims right away. It was 2 weeks, business week, so it was 10 business days, 14. Actually, in this case, it was 15 days because of the stupid Monday. And it got cleared up, okay? So, it sucks. I don't like the system. No one does. No one likes this YouTube bullshit system, all right? But at least I can say this. In this case, YouTube did vet to the ability that they could, all right? To give you some perspective here, on Twitch, they don't vet anything, all right? On Twitch 2 years ago, I was sitting there playing the Destroy All Humans 1 remake, all right? My stream gets shut down. Copyright claim from the game developer. Huh? Of course it's fake, but Twitch didn't even care. They didn't even look at all at the claim. They just granted it without even figuring out if this person really works for the company or not. They just granted the false claim and then removed it later. That's how Twitch is. Twitch is a insanely bad business, all right? Having been there for several years, here's what I can tell you about Twitch, all right? They like to add innovations and they like to do things that are very, very positive in different ways. They're a progressive website, which I have no issue with. You want to push certain groups being highlighted on your site and getting attention, go for it. I don't care. You know, I really don't give a shit. I just like staying in my lane and doing my own thing, all right? But Twitch basically is the most poorly ran business I've ever seen. They don't even have full-time mod staff that they pay. They have a bunch of fucking volunteers who do moderation work, who erroneously flag you for things you didn't do, then just apologize and remove it later on in the day, all right? They're a joke. They're an afterthought. There's no major focus on Twitch. It's a profitable business, but it's like a drop in a bucket that is Amazon. So on Twitch, they don't give two fucks about you or anything. In a moment's notice, you're out of there. That's what happened to me. I mean, they didn't outright ban me, but you're out of the partner program. Why? Hate speech. Prove it. No, we don't have to. Actually, yeah, legally you do, because I have a legal agreement with you that says that you can't kick me out unless there's a good reason. Prove it. They didn't. I could sue them right now if I wanted to. Not going to. I don't have the money or the means, all right? But that's how they are. On YouTube, at the very least, even with their automated systems that I don't agree with, look, they did protect DSP gaming. Likely this guy claimed more than 10 videos. This guy probably claimed 20 to 30 videos. They only granted the 10, then they grouped those into only 2 strikes instead of 3. so the channel didn't get shut down. They allowed me to continue to broadcast and make content and make a living during this time frame when all this was happening. You know, on Twitch, it's done. You're gone. Bye. Shut off your channel. Shut off everything. You're done. They don't give a fuck. At least YouTube has evolved over time to not 100% do this kind of bullshit. Okay. Now, what's funny is, I'm absolutely aware that there are people who've been outright kicked off of YouTube. Okay? I'm absolutely aware of this. And it was like instant. But those people are basically the exception to the rule, and it's because they did really dumb shit. You hear that, right? There is a fire alarm going